This is Grand Admiral Victor Okonkwo, Combined Fleet Commander. I led 7 Terran fleets into the Crimson Nebula. 3,000 warships, 2 million sailors. The largest human military operation in history. We were walking into a trap. We knew it was a trap. We went anyway. This is Case File 302. This is the story of the Battle of the Crimson Nebula, the largest naval engagement in galactic history, and the day humanity proved that superior numbers mean nothing against superior will. The Xanthori hegemony had been at war with humanity for 12 years. They controlled a vast empire, over 200 star systems, with industrial capacity that dwarfed our own. Their fleets outnumbered ours 10 to 1. Their technology was comparable. Their tactics were sound. By every logical calculation, they should have won. They did not understand humans. Their strategists spent 50 years developing the perfect plan. They studied human psychology. They analyzed our military doctrine. They identified what they believed was our critical weakness: aggression. Humans, they concluded, could not resist attacking a vulnerable target. Show us an exposed flank, a weakened position, an opportunity for decisive victory, and we would commit everything to exploit it. They were right about that. They were wrong about what would happen next. The Xanthori deliberately leaked intelligence suggesting their core fleet was depleted. They fabricated communications indicating internal rebellion. They created the illusion that a single massive offensive could end the war in one stroke. Federation intelligence detected the deception. We knew it was a trap. We presented the evidence to the War Council. The Xanthori were drawing us into an ambush. President Chen asked me directly, "Admiral, can we win if we spring their trap?" I told her the truth. Maybe. The odds are against us. But if we don't, this war will continue for decades. Millions more will die. Our economy will collapse under the strain. The Xanthori will grind us down through attrition. She asked what I recommended. Spring the trap, I said, but on our terms. The plan was simple. We would commit 7 fleets, nearly our entire military, to the offensive. We would make the Xanthori believe their deception had worked. We would enter the Crimson Nebula, expecting to find a weakened enemy. And when 40,000 ships surrounded us, we would not do what they expected. We would not try to retreat. We would attack. The combined fleet entered the Crimson Nebula at 0600 hours on May 15th, 2362. 3,000 warships in standard offensive formation. 7 fleet admirals commanding their squadrons. 2 million crew members at battle stations. I watched the tactical display from the bridge of the flagship Indomitable. The nebula was beautiful. Red and gold gases swirling through space like frozen fire. A perfect hiding place for an ambush fleet. At 0647, the trap was sprung. Xanthori ships emerged from the nebula on all sides simultaneously. First hundreds, then thousands, then tens of thousands. They had hidden their entire combined military in that gas cloud, waiting for us. 40,000 warships formed a perfect sphere of death around our 3,000 vessels. Admiral Keith Voran, the Xanthori Supreme Commander, broadcast a message the moment the encirclement was complete. Human fleet, you are surrounded. You are outnumbered 13 to 1. Your destruction is mathematically inevitable. We offer you one opportunity to preserve your lives. Power down your weapons. Surrender your vessels. Accept defeat with honor. You have 10 minutes to respond. I let him wait 9 minutes and 50 seconds. Then I responded. Admiral Keith Voran, Thank you for gathering your entire fleet in one location. You have saved us considerable time. We reject your offer of surrender. Not because we expect to survive. Not because we have a secret weapon or a hidden fleet. We reject it because we are human, and humans do not surrender. Your mathematics are correct. You outnumber us 13-1. Many of us will die today. Perhaps all of us. But we will not die quietly. We will not die without cost. We will tear into your fleet with everything we have, and when the last human ship burns, you will have paid a price so terrible that your empire will never recover. You wanted a decisive battle, Admiral. You are about to receive one. All Terran vessels, this is Grand Admiral Okonkwo. The order is given. No retreat, no surrender, no mercy. Attack. 3,000 human warships accelerated simultaneously in every direction. Not toward a single point. Not in an attempt to break out, but outward, toward the enemy, in a sphere of aggression that matched their sphere of encirclement. The Xanthori had expected us to panic. They had expected us to cluster together, to attempt a concentrated breakout, to give them easy targets. Instead, we spread out. We engaged their entire perimeter at once. We turned their numerical advantage into a liability. Because when every human ship is attacking a different section of your line, your 13-1 ratio suddenly becomes localized engagements of 4 or 5-1. Difficult, but not impossible. And humans fight very, very well at difficult odds. The First Fleet, under Admiral Tanaka, struck the Xanthori Northern Formation. Her ships were the fastest in our force, cruisers and destroyers built for rapid engagement. They tore into the enemy line like wolves into sheep. The Xanthori Northern commander had positioned his ships for a blocking action. He expected the humans to try to punch through. He was not prepared for ships that did not want to escape. Tanaka's fleet engaged at point-blank range. Her captains drove their vessels directly into the enemy formation, firing every weapon they possessed. When their missiles were exhausted, they used railguns. When their railguns overheated, they rammed. The First Fleet lost 400 ships in the first hour. They destroyed over 2,000 Xanthori vessels. The Second Fleet, under Admiral Oyeleran, hit the southern formation with different tactics. Her ships were heavier, dreadnoughts and battleships designed for sustained combat. They advanced in a wall of armor and firepower, grinding through the enemy line meter by meter. The Xanthori southern commander tried to flank her formation. She responded by splitting her fleet and catching his flanking force between two fires. 300 human ships destroyed over 1,500 enemies before the southern formation collapsed entirely. The Third Fleet, the Fourth Fleet, the Fifth, Sixth, Seventh. Each engaged their sector of the encirclement with tactics suited to their composition. Each fought as though victory was certain, as though death was irrelevant. Because to humans, in that moment, it was. The Xanthori had studied human psychology for 50 years. They understood that humans were aggressive. What they did not understand was why. Humans are not aggressive because we are foolish or bloodthirsty. We are aggressive because we understand something that other species do not. In combat, hesitation kills. Doubt kills. The desire to preserve your own life at the expense of victory kills. When a human crew knows they are going to die, they become something terrifying. They stop thinking about survival. They stop calculating odds. They become pure weapons, focused entirely on taking as many enemies with them as possible. 2 million humans faced 40,000 enemy ships, and chose violence over surrender. The Xanthori were not prepared for that level of commitment. By hour 3, the encirclement had begun to waver. The Xanthori had lost nearly 10,000 ships. Their formations were disrupted, their command structure fractured by targeted strikes against their flagships. Admiral Keth-Varan ordered a tactical withdrawal to reform lines. His ships began pulling back to establish new positions. That was his fatal mistake. A withdrawing fleet is a vulnerable fleet. When you retreat, you turn your engines toward the enemy. You lose the ability to concentrate firepower. You create gaps in your formation. We exploited every gap. The 7th Fleet, held in reserve until this moment, launched a concentrated assault on the weakest point of the Xanthori line. 300 fresh warships hitting a section already battered by hours of combat. They broke through. Once the encirclement was breached, everything changed. The trap that was supposed to contain us became a killing ground where we held the advantage. Our ships poured through the breach, reforming into pursuit formations. The Xanthori tried to establish new defensive lines. We did not let them. Every time they stopped to regroup, we hit them again. Every time they tried to coordinate, we targeted their communications ships. By hour 6, the Xanthori fleet was in full retreat. Not an organized withdrawal. A rout. Ships fleeing in every direction, abandoning formation, ignoring orders. We pursued. For 2 more hours, we hunted them through the Crimson Nebula. Ships that surrendered were taken prisoner. Ships that fought were destroyed. Ships that ran were chased down and eliminated. By hour 8, the Battle of the Crimson Nebula was over. The butcher's bill was staggering. Xanthori losses, 37,000 ships destroyed, 3,000 captured, approximately 8 million casualties. Human losses, 1,700 ships destroyed, 400,000 casualties. We had lost more than half our fleet. We had lost nearly a quarter of our sailors. And we had annihilated 40,000 enemy ships. The ratio was unprecedented. 22 enemy vessels destroyed for every human ship lost. A victory so complete, so overwhelming, that military academies across the galaxy still struggle to explain it. The explanation is simple. The Xanthori expected humans to fight like a rational species, to calculate odds, to preserve forces, to accept defeat when mathematics demanded it. We did not fight like a rational species. We fought like humans. The aftermath of the Crimson Nebula ended the Xanthori War within weeks. Their entire military had been committed to the trap. When that military was destroyed, they had nothing left. Our surviving fleets, battered but victorious, advanced on the Xanthori homeworld. We did not need to fire a shot. They surrendered unconditionally. An empire of 200 star systems conquered because they made one critical error. They cornered humanity. I have been asked many times what I was thinking during those 8 hours, what it felt like to command a fleet that was supposed to die. What went through my mind as I watched ships burn and sailors die by the hundreds of thousands. The truth is, I was not thinking about grand strategy or historical legacy. I was thinking about the crew of every ship under my command, the captains who followed my orders into certain death, the sailors who manned their stations knowing they would never see home again. They did not fight for me. They did not fight for the Federation. They did not fight for humanity in the abstract. They fought for each other. Every human on every ship knew that their sacrifice would give their comrades a better chance. Every crew that rammed an enemy vessel did so knowing that it would create an opening for another human ship to exploit. We did not win the Battle of the Crimson Nebula because of superior tactics or secret weapons. We won because 2 million humans chose to fight together, to die together, and to take as many enemies with them as possible. That is the human way of war. The galaxy calls us the gods of war now. They study the Crimson Nebula in every military academy. They try to understand how 3,000 ships defeated 40,000. They will never understand, because it is not about ships or weapons or tactics. It is about the species that refuses to accept defeat. The species that fights harder when cornered. The species that would rather die attacking than live surrendering. That is humanity. And that is why no one will ever corner our fleets again. This is Grand Admiral Victor Okonkwo, signing off. Case File 302 is now closed. They surrounded us with 40,000 ships. They expected surrender. They received annihilation. Let every species in the galaxy remember the Crimson Nebula. Let them remember what happens when you trap a human fleet. We do not surrender. We do not retreat. We attack until nothing is left standing. And when the battle is over,